Hey, what's going on, guys? Hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone is enjoying their day. I just wanted to pop on here real quick to do an MSC Seascape cruise review. I just want to kind of give some highlights of talked about a little bit of the cruise throughout the different vlogs and different captures that I did. So I kind of want to do an overall review. If this is your first time to the Breaking Barriers Ministry, before we start, I just want to say welcome, and I hope that you enjoy the content on this travel portion of the vlog of the channel. If you have been tuning in, please go ahead and like the videos. I'm going to do, I think, either 3 or 4 part series of the different trips. I'm going to break them up in parts, and I'll release them every week. And so you can see the whole experience. I hope you enjoy them. I try to capture as much as I could. And try to balance everything as I was enjoying the cruise and capturing certain footage of where we went and some of the things that I got a chance to do. So again, if it's your first time, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if this is a place you would like to subscribe to. Also check out the other videos on relationships and godly marriage, for this is the purpose of the channel. Also the other adventures and travel adventures we've done on the channel, and more to come. So real quick, I just want to kind of talk about the cruise overall. I'm gonna do ratings. So out of 10, I'm gonna give it a 7 or 8 out of 10. Overall, it was pretty good. There were some cons. There were some things that I think that there were not so much MSC's issue as far as control is out of their control. You couldn't really control some of the passengers they let on board, but it was just some stuff that, not much, but a few things that I wish they can probably do better. And the next time I come, I'm definitely going to do MSC again. That's the first thing. I'm definitely going to do MSC again. It was Seascape was a beautiful ship. It was really nice. A lot to do, a lot to see. It's really well. It had elegance to it. Very beautiful dining halls. Very, very well kept and clean. The rooms are really decent, at least in my opinion. Clean. The beds were nice and comfortable. The buffet hall, the plates and everything was clean. It was just a really nice, clean, well kept ship. And so for that, I enjoy that aspect of a cruise ship, and when it's really clean and really, well, elegant and nice. And it's a lot of different parts of the ship that it represents different areas. You had the Times Square bar area. You had the La Cabernet Rouge, or Le Cabernet Rouge. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. And you have other areas, Cora Theater. You have other areas of the ship that was really nice. The casino was really nice. So I just took a stroll throughout most of the parts of the ship that I could see, and just really well done. So that's the first thing I want to say. That's why I want to do MSC cruises. The embarkation and disembarkation was really, really quick. Very, very well put together. I saw reviews to where it was really hard to navigate, and it was definitely a lot of different issues on other vlogs that I watched. But as far as my experience, I thought embarkation was going to take a long time, but it really wasn't. It was very quick, very to the point. The only thing that I probably could have done better on my end was to make sure I had the boarding passes ready to go. I could have asked, made it clear with the boarding passes, but it worked out. The embarkation process was really quick. It was maybe 20 minutes or so. I had everything ready to go, and I was able to board the ship for my boarding time, which was 12 o'clock, and was able to be on the ship by 12:20, 12:30. So it was really the fastest I've seen. I know of some were a little lengthy of other cruises, but this was really quick. Disembarkation was really quick as well. We got off the ship in our designated time. We were maybe out of there once we disembarked. Maybe we got off 9:10. We were probably off the ship by 9:20. We was done with everything by 9:30, 9:45, and able to get, and that's including getting our luggage from the appropriated area and going through customs and everything. I think it was easier because we didn't really purchase anything. We just kind of just went through, and it was really, really smooth. If you had birth certificates, which I've used part of my trip, for my children, we had birth certificates, and it was still smooth. It was very to the point. You just make sure you have your birth certificates, so either and make sure you have a certified copy from the Vital Records Department of the state that you were born in, and you have some type of ID. We're able to use their military IDs for that, but it was really convenient, and we were able to get through. So those two processes was really smooth. So I really like that. and that's a win for me. Once we got on the ship and we was able to be organized, I think the going to the assembly area to do muster, or I don't want to say muster, but just to make sure that you're checking in to your assembly station for emergencies, and that was a little confusing, but we managed to. There was their representation to help us and make sure that we were there, and we were able to get around the ship. The buffet, it was available, and it was definitely we took advantage of that. I think the biggest thing, and it's not MSC issue, it's just it was the amount of passengers. It was so many people on the ship, and it caused a delay. But that's something that just comes with it when you're booking for the summer months. So that's not so much an issue in MSC. It was just so many passengers. It was so many people on board, and it was some complications with getting food and buffet and waiting lines and stuff like that. But nevertheless, we got through that, and we were able to tour the ship and see some things. Registration for the kids clubs and the pool areas. That was it wasn't such an issue for me, getting ready for registration and setting up times and going from there. But I know some people might have issues with it, but I didn't necessarily have an issue with signing up. Of course, you had to wait in line, but we managed to get wristbands, and I think that part was confusing too, where we asked questions about, do we keep the wristbands on? Do we have to re-register? It wasn't really clear guidance. They didn't really answer our questions. But so we just kind of moved from there, but that was something that could be a little bit more clearer. Same, the kids club, it was definitely, just walk in and some stuff that could have been more clear, but, it wasn't a big deal. The food overall, the MSC to me was great. I give it out of 10, I give it an 8, a 9. I think the food overall was pretty good. Some of my kids and my mom, they didn't really enjoy some of the stuff, as far as like the pizza and stuff like that. But I enjoyed the pizza. I thought the pizza was good. I thought it was probably one of the best that I've had on other cruise ships that I've been on. But I think the food overall was really good. I enjoyed all the main buffet. I really enjoyed the buffet. Enjoyed the variety. I enjoyed the desserts. And just the crew was able to really be there to get plates and stuff when we're done and support with the drinks, and so that I thought that was well done. They were trying to upsell as well, which you never seen that on a cruise ship, where they're trying to upsell packages on the first day and trying to get drink packages going. But outside of that, it was someone there to help. Also help with as far as just making sure you had gluten-free or if you had allergies and descriptions of food. So I thought that was really well done. And the food is just the variety and some of the combinations of foods. You had breads, you had pastas, you had meats and cheeses. You had all types of different, cultural foods, vegan options, gluten-free options. You had stuff for kids. They had a kids line just for kids so they can get their food. It's a lot of variety to me, and I thought it was very well done. The main dining, I would say, I would give the main dining maybe a 6 or 7 out of 10, because it's just the portion size. I don't know if that's just part of the experience, to where you get, I'm used to eating big portion sizes when it comes to eating food and stuff like that. Maybe that's just a me thing, or just that I'm used to, but it was, the portion sizes were a little small. And it was definitely, it's more of experience, I think, and more of anything, it's more of experience. Of formal, like a semi-formal dining, to where you get to sit at a nice table. You had actual guests, and waiters and waitresses that are dressed up really nice, formal, and they kind of give you the experience. So I think the main dining, my misunderstanding was it was thinking about food, portion sizes. It was experience. It was more of for the experience and getting that service, that good quality service, which I say the service out of 10 is a 10 out of 10. It was really good service. They were very attentive. They gave great recommendations. They actually took care of us. They asked, say, hey, we want the kids to have drinks just as much as the adults. They was willing to work with us with the packages and everything. So I thought the service was 10 out of 10. Really good service. To say the food, it was definitely portion sizes, and it was definitely kind of in my opinion, I think it was kind of a step down from the buffet. Some people may disagree, but I thought that, it depends on what you get to, but I feel like that it was definitely a 6 or 7. It was like a 7, 8 out of 10, in my opinion, just because of just the portion sizes and it wasn't nasty, but it was like, it could have been better. I'm just gonna be honest. But it wasn't terrible. It wasn't like this is disgusting, I don't want nothing else. Right. So The main dining experience, I think it was more for the experience, and it was definitely the service was really good. And the last night you'll probably see on one of the clips where they had the chefs and the waitresses and the parties and the dancing and the celebration of the hard work, and they did. They had it was really good food. In regards to just compared to other cruise ships that I've been on, it wasn't the best experience as far as food, but it was decent. So I think the service was the best part. So I'll give it up for their service. The service was phenomenal. When it comes to the ports, the excursions, I didn't get a chance to do an excursion this time. But I from what I've seen and just some of the people that enjoy the excursions are really good. Just experience in the Bahamas, it was a lot of just tourism and a lot of selling, a lot of hustling to get by stuff, and then I think that's just part of it. I think once you do an excursion though, that probably could be eliminated. You don't have to deal with the hustle and bustle of just going to and from and worrying about somebody trying to get you buy this or go to this place and pay for this, but that's just, when you're out, on the local tourism area, you're going to see that. But when it comes to just excursions, you probably could avoid that at all together. But I had a great time in Bahamas. Just this little stuff we did do, it was a great time. It was definitely, for me, I'm definitely wanting to do more. It's just that we're going to definitely come back and do more and do a lot more to see a little bit more. I just got a chance to go to one area, or a couple of areas, but great time. I had fun. First time there. I had a great time. The ship was accommodating. It was easy to get on and get off, and it was still stuff going on the ship. Ocean Key, private island. It was great. It was great. I got a chance. You probably can see me peeling and burning. Being in the sun, but I enjoyed it. I had a great time. I got a chance to snorkel. I didn't do it in so long. I got a chance to hit a couple of the beaches there. Got a chance to, the free food and the rentals. The stuff is confusing with the rental properties, the chairs and all the cabanas and things like that. I think that was a little bit confusing when you're trying to, you have to prepay for that stuff. When you prepay, you have your own stuff. But when you don't prepay, you have to find these individuals and trying to book seating and a certain beach I wanted to be on, but they didn't have enough chairs and table bases, and it was just a little confusing. You had to walk to the other beach from one beach we were on. You had to walk to the other beach in order to enjoy some of the snorkeling on the other side. So it was a little confusing. So I didn't really care for that, and I didn't also care for the transportation. They could have done, especially with the volume of people we had on the ship, and it was so packed. I felt like they could have had more transportation. To accommodate, we were sitting for a while. A lot of people were jumping the line, and stuff like that. So we had to, we started to walk back to the ship, and it was about a maybe 15-20 minute walk. I would say, 15-20 minute walk, back, because it's just the trams and stuff weren't running. And, when it gets closer to boarding, more people are trying to come back, and it just becomes a hassle. And then they cater to the yacht club, and they have their own stuff. And it could have been organized better when it came to dealing with transportation on Ocean Key. But if you don't mind walking, if you don't care for the waiting on it, you like to move around, you walk, it's probably not gonna be an issue. It really was hot, so it was kind of better to take a tram. But I mean, we walked, and to me it didn't really matter. But for my family members, my mom and my daughters, they didn't want to walk, so you had to wait for the tram. So that part could have been handled a little bit better. So that was one of my criticisms about Ocean Key. Outside of that, it was we had a great time. It wasn't no issues. Once we got everything settled, we had a great time. It was plenty of space, plenty of water to swim in. We got to see some beautiful fish. I got a chance to snorkel on Bimini Beach, and I got a chance to go out a little bit and see some stuff, and it was great. Overall, outside of those two places and just the ship itself, I really enjoyed they having the teens club. It was a lot to do. My oldest daughter spent time. She spent a lot of time there, and she enjoyed herself, and she met a lot of people there, a lot of the kids and teenagers. It was great. I enjoyed the water parks and slides. It was packed, but besides that, it was great. I rode all the slides. It was a great time. You just gotta be careful for the other kids, and just so many kids there. Again, just the rooms were nice, the cabins were nice. I think when the cabins, I didn't like the fact that you had to pay for movies. I've been on the Princess Cruise. The movies came with, they would sit there and watch movies, which is not such a big deal because I wasn't really in the room to watch TV. I was out and about. The only time I came in the room was to sleep, or I sat down for a minute, but I really didn't. It really was an issue, but it was like, my other younger kids, wanted to relax and they wanted to watch movies. They wasn't no movies for them to watch. They had to pay for the on demand and stuff like that, which I thought was just it was kind of inconvenient, at that time. Other cruise ships had movies you can watch and you had to pay. Again, not a big deal because, again, me personally, I wasn't in the room, but for the younger kids, they probably wanted something to watch. They had like local channels and Cartoon Network and, other stuff, but it wasn't a lot of variety to watch TV. So a lot of times they really didn't watch TV. They watched it sometimes, but we were in the room when we were there. What else? Other than that, the rooms itself, the towels, the washcloths, that we brought our own, but I you only see your room attendant once a day. I've seen them clean in the morning unless you ask them then for extra amenities, toilet tissue or washcloths or towels. You kind of don't see the attendant. That's something that was also different because in Princess, I seen the attendant a lot. I'm saying? I was able to catch them and say, hey, you got any extra this, extra that. But on MSC, you don't really see them. You see them once, they clean your room, they move on. You don't see them for the rest of the day unless they happen to be by. And, I didn't really meet my room attendant either. I didn't meet him. I don't know who he was. I kind of seen him around, but he never introduced himself and say, hey, my name is such. If you need anything, let me know. Princess Cruise, when I was on there, they did that. They said, hey, my name is this, such and such. If you need anything, let me know. And I was able to ask questions. But on MSC, I didn't see the room attendant that much to ask them, even get to know who he was. They were friendly. When I did see people clean the room, they spoke. They said, hey, how you doing? Hello. The courteous and the respect, they spoke when I did see them. But I've only seen them maybe once or once a day. So that was something that was interesting. It wasn't a big issue to me. Again, it might matter to some. It wasn't something that I needed, to hunt them down for. I asked them when I did see them, I asked them for some other stuff that I needed. And again, they said to check and make sure you know where it is and stuff like that. But I really didn't need anything. Make sure the towels were put back. We had these beach towels, MSC, they put on your bed, and if you don't return them, they charge you for them. So, but other than that, I personally, I brought my own rags and towels to use outside of the towels they had, just in case, I need the washcloths or whatever. So it didn't really bother me that much. But I know if something may bother where they need services, and those individuals are not really there to help. When you see them, they're there, but they're not there throughout the day. Elevators, again, that's something that is not so much MSC. It is more or less the volume of people, with so many people on the ship, that elevators became such an inconvenience because you had to wait forever, right, to get an elevator. And that's just, again, due to the volume of people, everybody trying to use the elevator. And how the elevators work on their ship is you press the button, the floor you want to go to. If it's 12, 15, 16, 18, whatever floor you're trying to go to, you have to press the button of the floor, and then they give you the letter of the elevator. So it can be Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta. It can be A, B, C, D, right? And then whatever that floor you're going to, and you get on that elevator, it takes you directly to that floor. So, for example, if you're going to floor 5 or 6, you may get a elevator B, and that elevator would take you strictly down to 5 or 6. There might be other stuff in the way. Other people are going to different locations. So they do a grouping for one specific elevator, and you can either go to, A, B, C, or D, and it can be either, that specific floor or other floors that were selected. So if you're going to floor 6, it's going to take you strictly there. It's not going to take you to another elevator. When it worked, not when it worked, but when you could get one, right? Because again, the volume, it was convenience, right? To navigate those issues, I decided to go to you learn the ship. I went to the very front of the ship, preferably the back of the ship. Preferably you can get to the back of the ship. Those elevators are actually more free, especially during peak volume hours. I will go to the back of the ship. You get on your floor and walk all the way to the back. And then the back of the ship, the Seascape, is the infinity pool area, and you have the bridge of size, and you have the main deck. And if you go to those back areas of the ship, you can take an elevator and drop down to your floor in some aspects, and then you can just walk up. So I found little peak ways to navigate that. I usually, unless it's really late, early in the morning or really late at night, then it's better to get those elevators. But when you're in the peak hours of the day, especially during breakfast, lunch, and dinner hours, it's really packed. And especially when you have major shows and you have a lot going on, people are traversing to and from, it was really, really packed. So a lot of times I took the stairs. And again, if you have issues with stairs and you just don't want to take stairs, you're going to be waiting you could be waiting up to 10 to 15, sometimes 20 minutes for the elevator. Because if you get one, it's packed. So if it's packed, obviously you can't get in there. You have to wait to the next one. And then that's packed. And you got to wait to the next one. And that one's packed. So it all depends on the volume of people that's on the ship. And that is why elevators are kind of tough to get. But once you navigate them, you kind of figure your way around, and you kind of can see, okay, I could take this elevator due to it's not that packed on the side. Then you probably can get around a little bit easier, or you just take the stairs. Because you can't control how many people get on the ship. You just got to find your way. Shows wise, I think I mentioned it on there as well when it comes to finding what to do on a ship. That was a little different for me because you kind of can have, and I think they had it, but we just didn't look into it, where, they had more opportunities to tell you what's going on the ship. You had, they got the kiosk and you can go and look on there, and some of that stuff froze and it didn't work, so I didn't use it. And then we tried to use the app. Sorry. Turn it. My camera fell. The app, it was good, but it kept freezing when you do the MSC for me app on their actual their internet. We tried to use it. It kept freezing and kept kicking me out, but I was managed to do something called a digital download. And that download gives you the full itinerary of that day of what, pretty much what's been going on in reference to the ship. But it really wasn't announced of what they offered. It might have said a few things where, hey, this is what's going on. Where they did a lot of selling, a lot of shops. Hey, we got this on sale, we got this discount in this store. You come by and down and buy. It was very more shopping oriented. It wasn't activity oriented. They did mention a couple of things later. The last couple of days of the cruise were on. They mentioned some comedy shows and a few other things, but it wasn't really advertised on what's going on. And again, when I compare it to Princess Cruise, it was always, they were saying, hey, we got this going on. Hey guys, you want to come down to this? We got this party, this game show, this and this. And again, I could have probably been so wrapped up in what I was doing that I probably didn't pay any attention. But it was, for me, it was, I didn't see a lot of activities, a lot of communication. And again, you had to really try to find stuff to do. It was a couple of shows. I went to one comedy show, which was really, really good. It was probably the highlight of the cruise. And I talked about that too, of the comedian Michael Blackson being on the ship, and it was a really good show. He really did really well. It was really, really entertaining. And that was the highlight of the cruise, in my opinion, when it came to a show. But it's just, again, he probably could have figured out more of where to go and see how we could, get engaged in the ship more. And that was a little different. It can be done, but it was a little different. So that was something that was interesting to me. But far as everything else, I think, again, it was a great experience. It was a beautiful ship. There's a lot of different designs and things that I enjoyed. The wine cellar, the wine was really good on there. Some of the drinks were really good. And it was just a lot of, music, and it was parties, and it was things that you could get into. They had all types of stuff. It's just, again, a matter of just seeking those things out. They had a beautiful design on the ship, beautiful, everything, was great. If you're in a yacht club member, you had a lot of benefits with that. If you, depending on what package you got, you was able to get room service, and you was able to maneuver. What I also liked about the buffet, it was a late night buffet too. You had your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you had your late night dinner as well. And those things was really cool to see, and able to be up to maybe 1 o'clock in the morning to get something to eat. So that convenience of eating and food was there, and I'm grateful for that. Other than that, I don't have any other complaints. I don't have any other issues with MSC. Overall, it's definitely a great cruise line. The only thing I would say for me, and this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to definitely check off season. I'm going to look into booking cruises off season, maybe an early spring, doing maybe a February, March, April time frame, or maybe do a September, October, November, or even December. December is probably peak season because it's holidays, but maybe an October or November cruise, where it's not so much kids and volume of kids. One, and two is hopefully a lot less people. So I feel like if there's a lot less people, it's more enjoyable, and you'll be able to really get the best out of the MSC and enjoy the cruise a little bit more. I noticed when we did stuff in October and November, it was not a lot less people, and it wasn't super packed. Like, this is interesting to see a packed ship for so long, like full sail. But I definitely would look into doing a cruise later in the year, whereas kids in school and maybe people are doing other things. That's not a guarantee that things will probably be full sail then, but hopefully it is. It isn't bad, and I'll be able to enjoy it more. And more importantly, also, that we have to see how weather affects that too, because the things I want to do in the summer, I may not be able to do in the winter months because of the weather change, but hopefully it's still good enough to try. So that's my concern. I would do MSC again. I give it an 8 out of 10 overall. It's a great cruise ship from what I saw. I'm definitely going to try other ships and get into MSC again. I'm just going to probably do it on off season. During summer months, that's probably the best time when kids are out of school if you want to take your kids, but you just got to be mindful of the surge of people, because that causes problems, seating issues, elevator issues, waiting in a long line in the buffet. We spent breakfast the second day. We spent almost 2 hours trying to get a seat to eat and to wait in line, and it's so packed. And for me, I don't care for it. I don't care for being around that volume, that many volume of people. But again, it just depends on who you are. I had a great time, and I'm definitely we'll do it again. So I'm gonna break this up in parts. So hopefully enjoy the videos, the blogs, and able to really just take it in, and hopefully it'll motivate you to want to try MSC for yourself. I did the one out of Miami. I thought it was a great experience to see Miami. Miami's a beautiful city. We were a really nice area, and I enjoyed in Miami very much. And there's a lot more to see in Miami too. So I'm definitely looking forward to going back to Miami to spend time there as well, to get more involved in Miami, eat the food, enjoy the culture, get around a little bit more, and just see the city. And see the area, the beaches more too as well, because the beaches is really nice too. So Miami, doing a cruise out of Miami is definitely what I would do. I haven't done one in Orlando. I think I done one in Orlando a long time ago, and of course I've done one out of Seattle as well, and I'm going to do another one soon. So I'll put some more out on that. But doing a cruise out of Miami is probably the best thing, because you get a chance to enjoy the city and then enjoy the cruise itself. So I'll put some stuff out, every week, and hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully you leave a comment, share. Hopefully this review is helpful. It's definitely not everybody's experience. Some people are better, some people are worse, some people hate MSC, some people don't like MSC, some people love it. I like it. You know what I'm saying? I think if I do a couple more ships and do a couple more tours with the MSC in regards to their cruise lines, I think I'm gonna love MSC. I want to do the World America for sure, and I want to do the other ships that they have. So I'm definitely gonna check it out. If I do more in the next, probably next year, I'll do them. Then I'll jump on and I'll definitely let y'all see and compare the Seascape with, if I get on the Divina or the Seaside or the Seashore or the World America, if I get in one of those other ships, then definitely I will, compare the two and see which one's better and which one's not better. So y'all enjoyed the vlogs. Hopefully you're being blessed. I definitely have more material coming out for the channel. I got some stuff that I'm going to probably put on my Freedom Fighters, so definitely check that out. I got some content that I want to put out, some word I want to put out. I got at least 2 or 3 videos. I might have something for Breaking Barriers coming up soon as well, in the next month or so, when I get situated and get back from vacation and get back from spending summer with my kids. I'll definitely have some material to put out to review. So be blessed, and I will see y'all again on the next vlog.